Hi there, and welcome to I Changed My Mind. My name is Brooke Sebold, and I'm a filmmaker, a storyteller, and a non-binary human being. I'm also an optimist, and I believe in the human capacity for change, which is why I created this series to normalize what the changing mind looks like. Today we're talking to a mom who struggled to accept her trans son and had to change her mind about a few things first. According to Forbes, 52% of trans and non-binary young people in the US considered suicide in 2020, which is why today's conversation is so important and relevant, and I can't wait to share it with you. I wanted to talk to a parent who's lived on both sides of this issue, and I found her on TikTok. She's a mom named Janna, and when her 15-year-old came out as trans and started going by Cody, Janna rejected her son and refused to use his chosen name or preferred pronouns. She even called his high school and demanded they do the same. But after Cody attempted suicide, Janna changed her mind and her behavior. Now she helps other struggling parents to change their minds too.
It is still really important, regardless as to how long ago it happened, to always say that you're sorry, because words mean a lot.
Welcome to I Changed My Mind. Here's Janna's story.
My name is Janna, and I have changed my mind about accepting my trans son.
Thank you so much for being here, Janna. Before we dive deep into conversation about you and your relationship with your son, Cody, I'd love to hear a little bit more about who he is and what makes him special.
Cody is just an amazing human being. He is now 19, living his best life. So the biggest thing about him is his heart is a lot bigger than his body. So he is very much about caring for others. He's very empathic. He's always been that way ever since he was a young kid.
And what was your relationship with Cody like when he was young?
When Cody was young, we had a great relationship. Everything was fine. I just had your average cis female child. There was never a time that we weren't close until, of course, the reason why I'm here today. So
I know you had some rough years. Did that start when Cody came out as a lesbian?
When Cody came out as a lesbian, it just completely took my world and just went like this, just completely upside down, because I thought, what's everybody going to say? His salvation is at stake. It's my job as a parent to make sure he's saved to go to heaven, and now he's going to go to hell, and it's my fault. And what are the deacons going to say? What is my pastor going to say? What are all of my friends, which is, at the time, 75% of my friend circle was all in the same church and the same faith-based belief. So all of those things came into play for sure. When I was in that religious faith, I am still a Christian to this day, but not involved with the church. It's different now. But at the time, it was very much into the Bible says this, God says this, so your feelings don't matter.
And how old was Cody when he came out as trans?
Approximately 15.
My name is Cody. I'm a transgender male. I use he, him pronouns.
My world again went way upside down again because I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? And my first concern was, you say you're trans because all your friends are at school. Quit following everybody else. This isn't how God made you. You're not a boy. You clearly have female anatomy. What is going on? Where's this coming from?
Were you angry?
I was angry, I was confused. The feelings I had at the time were really of fear of the unknown. And I think a lot of people have that fear when their children come out. They think that they're reacting out of love when it comes to God. Well, God says this and I love you, and so because I love you, I'm gonna do what God's telling me to do. But I think really deep down inside, it is that fear of your child not being your expectation.
Did you feel any rejection personally by his coming out?
Absolutely, yeah, rejection from Cody big time, and it was rightfully deserved. So when things happened, Cody instantly went and lived with his dad for 4 months. I didn't see him for 4 months. And so the rejection from him, because I rejected him, right? The rejection came back as, well, you don't love me because it's conditional. I love you, but this isn't how God made you. I love you, but. What I know now, when anybody in the LGBTQIA, 2S+, whenever they hear that, I love you, but, the but negates everything before it. And that's what I was doing, and I was very unaware of it at the time. So rejection was real. Rejection came from my faith. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a fiance. Lots and lots of rejection.
And I know you shared with me that you had called the high school and told them to use Cody's dead name. Can you explain what it means to dead name someone?
Dead naming is where you use their birth name. The name that is on his birth certificate is the only name that I would allow, to call him. Well, when you do that to a transgender person, whether they're male, female, or non-binary, anybody in the trans umbrella, when you use their dead name, it is like sticking a knife in their chest over and over again, reminding them of how much that name affiliates with the person who they are not.
It's such a beautiful answer, and it's also just really empowering and powerful to hear you talk about how much you've changed your mind about that. And I'm also just curious if you could paint more of a picture of what your memories of Cody were like before he came out as trans.
We did what I thought were all of the girl things, your typical mother-daughter things that you do with your 12-year-old.
As a parent, do you grapple with those memories and the person that Cody has become?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that because that's always a huge subject for a lot of the people that connect with me via TikTok, especially parents who are going through the same thing. I get messages all the time, and I'm thankful for that. They say I'm grieving my child. I feel like my child is dead. And I used to feel that way. But somebody on TikTok replied to one of my posts, and they said, you are grieving the expectation of your child, not them physically being gone. Loss of expectation. Yes, this is exactly what it is. And so what I try to do is I try to affirm parents and say, it is okay to be confused. It is okay to feel like you're lost. It is okay to feel like this is weird. It's one of those things where I think the biggest thing parents can do is find other parents and vent to those parents. Don't vent to your child. Your child has enough burden on their plate coming out as it is. They don't need your worries here on this shoulder to carry around. They don't need that. Come to someone like me or get in, some kind of support group so that you can deal with those memories, because those memories are still very real.
What did it mean to you that Cody was trans?
It was hard enough that my kid was a lesbian in my faith community. Now they're trans. Now I've got a double whammy here to deal with. And then I started really, really, really detesting the whole community. I was like, you stole my kid from me. My kid got on Instagram at 2 a.m. and was talking to other queer people, and you took my kid. You influenced my kid to be this way. Now, of course, we know that's not the truth. You connect with people that are like you, right? He was connecting with those that are like him. I get it now, but I didn't at the time.
Would you have called yourself transphobic?
At the time, no, because I didn't know what the word was, but looking back, I was 110% transphobic.
And did you love Cody at that time?
Oh, I loved him dearly. And I really think, and I honestly think, and again, I'm not making excuses for people that use their faith to manipulate and control people, because I really honestly think that most people use their faith because they really think they're doing it out of love. They do. But when you think that God is telling you to do these things, your love for God is so strong, you're going to do whatever you can to please God. And that's how you show your love to people. I love you. I don't want you to go to hell.
How did your behavior around that time impact Cody's mental health?
Cody's mental health went right down to the very, very pit of hell. Cody was in 4 different mental hospitals, and all of this, so anybody's watching, I did get permission to talk about all the things we're discussing today with my child. So he has been to 4 different mental hospitals, and it took the 4th mental hospital for me to figure things out. When Cody was in the hospital for the last time, and the social worker called and said, Janna, here's your options. You can either use his preferred name and pronouns, or next time he's going to succeed. I remember sitting at my kitchen table and I was rolling my eyes on the phone, and I said, fine. Put her, quotations, on the phone. Cody gets on the phone and I said something to the extent of, hey Cody, or hi Cody, or I don't remember exactly how the whole conversation started, but I used the name, and he just went, what? Silence, We had a lot of repair work to do. He was very, very, very angry. And I was mad at him for disrespecting me as a parent. Isn't that funny? Even though I screwed up, God forbid me say that I'm sorry. But I will never forget when Cody finally came home and having him sit on my couch in my living room, and he wasn't talking to me yet. And I thought to myself at that point, I don't really care what gender you are anymore. You're breathing. You're on my couch. It doesn't matter. The fight is done. I can't do it anymore. I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, why would you create somebody who isn't how you made them perfectly to be as they are right now? Why would you create somebody for me to shun them? It just started clicking. I'm like, wait a minute. My God wouldn't do that. My Jesus wouldn't ever tell somebody they couldn't go to church. My Jesus would never say, you can't love who you want to love. Isn't that the top thing in the Bible is love, isn't it? So it was that moment that I went, okay, and I pulled out of the church. And then I found all these wonderful affirming pastors on TikTok, and I thought, you can still love God and love your kid at the same time. How ironic. Well, 6 weeks after he had came out of the hospital, I was starting to use the pronouns. I would say not well. I was using dead name female pronouns for a long time, but I was trying to, but I just was kind of like, oh, this is weird. It's unknown territory kind of thing. But then by the time he was 16, I said, you know what? Testosterone, is this what you're wanting to do? And his eyes just got this big. Really? Really? Are you serious? I said, we're not going to do it, but we'll go talk to a doctor. So Cody did all the research, found a great doctor at University of Michigan, phenomenal pediatric endocrinologist. He sat knee to knee with me in that waiting room, and he said to me, Mama, your daughter is no longer, but your son is better than your daughter ever was. And I said, you know what? let's do it. That doctor left that room, and Cody's 5'7", and he's tall. He wrapped his arms around me and laid his head on my shoulder and sobbed. And he was so heavy. His body weight was just on me. And he said, "Thank you, Mom, thank you, Mom, thank you, Mom, thank you," over and over. And I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. I had a huge peace about what was going on in that room. That's how I knew it was the right thing to do, because of the peace that I felt.
You've gone through so much change in such a short amount of time. I'm curious in what ways you were the same person then as you are now.
I'm still the same person I was then, being that I love people like crazy. I loved in the wrong way when Cody came out, for 100% sure. But I have a passion to love people. And so I use that passion that I had when Cody first came out, of all of that energy, and I love with that same energy in a different way.
And what are the multitude of ways that you support Cody now?
Most of the ways would be just talking about his story when I'm given permission to do so. My kid is brilliant, he's educated, he's smart. Trans is just one part of my kid. My kid is Cody. There's lots of parts of Cody.
Hey guys, we are in Ohio at a rest area on the way to top surgery.
I appreciate all the love and the support and all the tips and everything, so thank you guys.
Can you talk about how you're helping other parents with their trans kids?
When I started TikTok, it was during COVID like we all did, and I just kind of posted a thing about my trans kid, waiting to get backlash, and my account just blew up, and I was like, oh, there's other parents going through this too? Because when you're in such a religious bubble, and everybody in that bubble says it's wrong, you can't look on the outside of that wall. So TikTok did that for me.
Where do you think Cody would be now if you hadn't changed your mind around this?
He'd be in the grave. If he wasn't in the grave, he'd be as far away from me as he could get.
And what's your relationship like with Cody now?
We are just at the hip. He was my gift from God the day I gave birth to that child, and he is still my gift today, for sure.
Love you!
I love you too, Mom.
Finally, Janna, as someone who almost lost your trans son to suicide, and now you get to enjoy a rich and beautiful relationship with him, I'm curious what value you place on the ability to change your mind.
Huge value. Here's why. You don't have to understand something or someone to love them. I will never understand what it's like to be trans because I'm not. Ask questions. Learn. The phenomenal things we can do if we just open our eyes and our hearts and our mind to hear other perspectives and how people feel the way that they do and why. Because when you get so closed off that this is the only way, well, that's not the truth. My only way as a cisgender heterosexual woman, that's my way. Well, maybe not heterosexual so much anymore, but the cis part. But that's my way. But it doesn't mean everybody else is cis. It doesn't mean that, you know? So once you open that gate and allow that dialogue and allow yourself to be in someone else's shoes and to just get it, makes 100% world difference.
Thank you so much for sharing so openly with me, Janna. I think your story is so profoundly important, and thank you for modeling what the changing mind can look like. This conversation is such a wonderful reminder that any one of us can change our minds at any time.
If this whole interview impacts one person to have a happy ending like mine, then I've done my job.
I'm so excited to meet you, Cody. Thank you so much for being here and for allowing your mom to share your story with us.
Every day I'm grateful that things happened the way they did and that things didn't stay the way they were.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful to have a mom that I have.
I think you're pretty fabulous.
Thank you for loving me.
I love you, kid.